So I'm here to do a question and answer video for you guys on baby number 4, this surprise pregnancy, all the things that you have millions of questions about, the things that I'm still processing and going through in my head. I'm on my lunch break here at work, and I'm gonna pull up all the different questions that we've received on our latest video, and then on Instagram. If you're not following us on Instagram, you can find us at thedodgefamily. I post there every day. So I'm gonna try to get through this really quick before I have to go back to work. But thank you, number 1, for all of your really kind words, your thoughts, your well wishes, your excitement. It means a lot to us, truly it does. So I'm just gonna dive in because I don't want this video to be too long. So question number 1, what will the room setup be for the kids when they're older? So this is something Scott and I have been talking about for a while. So right now, Isabel and Eli share a room, and Emma has her own room. We have a 5-bedroom house, so there's not concerns about not having enough space. 2 of the rooms, one is my office, one is Scott's office. We have the 2 kid bedrooms upstairs. The girls have been wanting to share a room forever. They ask to sleep together every night, like have sleepovers and have parties and anyways, and so we've been talking about moving Isabel into Emma's room before we even knew about this other baby. So the plan is to do that. We're gonna have Isabel and Emma share a room, then the new baby and Eli will share a room. Obviously the new baby will be with us for quite some time, so Eli will have his own room, and then eventually when Emma's 12, 13, she'll probably have her own room. We'll convert my office / guest room into her room, and then Isabel would have her own room, and then the boys will share indefinitely because they're going to be so close in age, and they won't need their own separate rooms for quite some time. So question number 2, what birth control were you on? What symptoms were you having, and when do you think your last period was? So the birth control that I was on is norepinephrine. Not that it really matters to anybody unless you're a doctor. Essentially, it's the mini pill, and it was what I've been on since I was 6 weeks postpartum with Eli. I was on the mini pill with Emma after I had her, so it worked then. It did not work this time as effectively. I mean, obviously it worked for a while, but it didn't prevent 100%, but the chance of that happening is 1 in 200. Literally, I looked it up. 1 in 200 that this happens. What symptoms was I having? I'm gonna come back to that one. And when do I think my last period was? So I have not had a cycle since before Eli. My last actual full period was November of 2018, okay? For those of you who have followed my channel for a long time, you know that I've always had irregular cycles. I conceived Emma on a cycle that was 60-some plus days. I have gone on birth control, off birth control, but generally when I'm off birth control, I just have irregular cycles. I will go 2 months before I have a cycle. And so to me, not having a cycle is not an indicator of anything suspicious because that's a baseline that my body's already used to. I was also breastfeeding Eli, so once I was on the mini pill, the particular type that I was on, it's not uncommon to not have a period at all, which was what I was experiencing in conjunction with breastfeeding plus just my normal body cycle. So we know now that I conceived this baby in February, but I had not had any cycle or any type of symptoms or bleeding or anything since before I was pregnant with Eli. Okay, so symptoms, let me talk about that. I don't, if you followed us for a while, I keep joking I'm a pregnancy unicorn. I have very little pregnancy symptoms when I'm pregnant. When I was pregnant with my girls, when I was pregnant with Eli, same thing. I do not get morning sickness. The only thing that I somewhat get is tired and cravings. So those are the 2 kind of steady things that I've had. Let me explain why during this pregnancy, neither of those seemed odd. I have not slept a full night's sleep since Eli was born. Eli has been very difficult because of his allergies, which, as you guys know, the biggest challenge with his allergies started in February, where his skin was flaring up, he wasn't sleeping well, we had digestive issues. So he was waking up every hour, every 2 hours. I was tired because I've been tired forever. And so quite honestly, the last 2 months or month and a half since we really figured out, nailed down Eli's diet, I was still breastfeeding up until 3 weeks ago. I had basically become a vegan, because I didn't have any type of processed dairy. So cravings for that were, again, not abnormal because I had a very strict, limited diet with nursing Eli, where I was like, oh gosh, I'd really like some cheese today. Okay, that didn't seem weird to me because I wasn't able to have cheese. So symptoms wise, it's a very hard tell for me with pregnancy because I don't get symptoms. The only thing looking back now that I can see is my milk supply dropped, which now makes sense. And then I did have bouts of acid reflux, which I only get when I'm pregnant. What I attributed that to in my mind was my dietary changes though, which can contribute to acid reflux. So again, nothing was suspicious. Okay, next question. Did I have weight gain? This is another great question. No, because of my dietary changes. I had cut out carbs, I had cut out dairy, I had cut out just a ton of processed stuff because simply I couldn't have it with nursing with Eli. So I actually was losing weight. I've lost 11.5 pounds just in the last month. I lost another like 5 pounds 2 or 3, yeah, like 2 months ago. So I was actually fitting into pants that I haven't fit into since before I was pregnant with Eli, being as pregnant as I am. And so all of those things together, again, I didn't look pregnant like I did with my other babies early on. I'll talk about like the last month, but that is, that's kind of where we've been at with that. Was the baby kicking at all? This is one that I'm getting a ton of as well. The baby, I was feeling baby flutters, more so in the last 3 weeks, 4 weeks than anything else, but I can think back and think, oh, that was probably baby flutters. Again, in my mind, it kind of felt like indigestion or like gas because of all of these things that I was eating that I had changed within my diet. So it didn't seem suspicious to me because in my mind, I did not think I was pregnant. There was no way that I was thinking that these were baby flutters. I was like, oh, that's gotta be indigestion or gas pain or gas bubbles. And so I did not equate those tiny movements that I was feeling to baby movements, but now that I look back and I think, I'm like, oh, those were actual baby movements. What kind of car did we get? So I'm in my new car right now. We got a GMC Arcadia, oh my gosh, an Acadia. It is amazing. We are so happy with it. Once we found out we were pregnant, and we were looking for an SUV. The reason we got an SUV I'll talk about, but this one came up. My husband has a GMC Terrain, which is the smaller version of this. Scott is 6'5", and so the interior cab space for us is very, very important because he's tall, and we need the extra space. He could fit into my Sorento, but it was like a tight fit. So we knew that the GMC was spacious, and then the Acadia, keep wanting to say Arcadia. The Acadia, what we loved about it, and I'll show you guys, I don't know if you can see because of the light, but they have the captain's chairs in the middle, where generally a third row SUV, you have that middle area that folds down and then you have to climb. That for us was the selling feature. Sorry. Okay, so the reason we went with an SUV over a minivan, because I know people are gonna ask this, we live in Minnesota. I work full-time outside the home. We get icy roads, snow. I could leave in the morning with no snow. I could drive home and there would be a foot of snow. An SUV is much safer on the road than a minivan. It just is. With the mileage I drive, taking the kids, an SUV, an all-wheel drive SUV was the big difference for us. We would have done a minivan had we not found the right SUV, but SUV was really where my comfort level of safety and winter driving was, and so that's where we landed. What made me test? So this is a great question as well. So I stopped breastfeeding Eli right after our anniversary because we were we went out to eat for my anniversary. My supply had dropped. I was struggling with feeding him. Again, didn't think I was pregnant. And I had dairy when we went out for our anniversary dinner. With that, I was gonna have to take a 2-week break to stop feeding Eli anyways, because it takes 2 weeks to get all of those allergens out of your system. So at that point, I just decided that we were gonna be done breastfeeding. Once I stopped breastfeeding Eli, things became a little bit more transparent. I had started doing keto with my husband. Scott's been doing keto since March. He's lost about 60 pounds. And so once I was done, the plan was once I was done breastfeeding Eli and kind of got off my vegan diet, that I was gonna do keto with Scott. So I started doing keto, again, losing weight, feeling good. I was doing intermittent fasting. I wasn't hungry, wasn't nauseous, like none of those things. And what I noticed, I was losing weight, but like my belly seemed like bloated, but I knew it wasn't bloat. And so I was like, this is weird. So that was one thing that made me test. And then I just started to kind of, again, feel more of those gassy movements, what I thought was gas. And so that for me seemed odd. And then Scott finally was like, I think you're pregnant. Like, you need to take a test. There's certain things that you're doing that just make me think you're pregnant. The way that you're acting, the things you're doing, just you only do when you're pregnant. So that's why I finally took the test. I was honestly afraid to take the test because I was worried, what if it was positive? And I wasn't mentally in a place where I was prepared for that. And so, yeah. That's really what made me test. And once we found out, I knew that I was further along than closer to early pregnancy, because I started to think through all of the different symptoms and stuff. And so that is really what made me test, and that's where we are. How much time will I take off? I have not decided this yet. You guys know that I started a new job. Again, I'm glad that I didn't know, because I think I would have hesitated if I knew I was pregnant with making such a big life change. But I don't know, 8 to 12 weeks, somewhere in that range. Ideally, I would like to have 12 weeks. This is my first reaction when I found out I was pregnant. I was shocked. I told Scott to come upstairs. Literally, I took the pregnancy test, and within 3 seconds it came up positive, and it like dark positive, and I was like, I'm really pregnant. I panicked, truly. I started to feel like, why? Like, I don't understand how this happened. What is the Lord doing? This wasn't in my plans. We didn't want another baby. Am I gonna be enough? I truly panicked, and Scott really actually had to calm me down and tell me that it was gonna be okay. Not to say that I'm not excited about this baby, but it was honestly, I was overwhelmed to tears with just, how are we gonna do this? Having 2 babies so close. So many things went through my mind. So that was definitely where I was in my headspace. Will you take preventative measures to prevent future pregnancies? Ironically enough, we're already in the process of that, in the finalizing of Scott having his stuff done. I'm not interested in having my tubes tied. I personally don't feel that that's the best thing. We will definitely have his stuff taken care of, have him tested, and then probably, depending on, I don't know where all of the timing will align, but yeah, we're definitely taking preventative, like snip, get stuff taken care of. That was, again, always the plan. We were finalizing it now, and here we are, 6 months pregnant, so that's just what it is. Have you given Eli stuff away that he was no longer using? No, except his 0 to 6 month clothes I did give to a coworker friend of mine who had a little boy. No regrets. That stuff is easy to replace, and we're not worried about that. Everything else we've kept. We don't need anything baby gear, really, or any of that. Are you doing a name reveal for this baby? Yes, we will. I don't know when. We don't have a name that we've agreed to yet. We're still talking through all of that, and trying to figure out all of where we're at with that. Names have been very difficult for us. If you followed us again for a while, you know that. I'm amazed our kids have names because Scott and I have very different opinions and views on baby names. Yeah, so lots and lots of questions on that, but we will certainly share once we have an idea of what that looks like. Okay, I think that's it. I think hopefully I went through them all and I answered everything for you guys. Again, we are surprised. We were not keeping this a secret. We truly didn't know. I will take a belly picture. I'll show you. I can tell now that I'm pregnant. I'm still the smallest that I've been. I've been at the lowest weight that I've been for a long time. Or, well, not a long time, but with any of my pregnancies, except for Emma, because I had lost like 60 pounds before I had Emma. But yeah, again, none of my coworkers knew, nobody in our family knew. They had all seen me, did not think I looked 6 months pregnant. I didn't think I looked 6 months pregnant. I was fitting into pants and jeans and like pre-baby stuff. So with Eli and Isabel, I was in maternity jeans at like 14 weeks. So all of these things together just in my mind did not equate to baby. I can tell now that I'm pregnant. I can see in the last week I've really grown and popped, and yeah, but my belly is basically all baby and it's all like lower belly. So that's it. Thank you guys so much again. We will continue to update you on this crazy journey. If you have anything else, let me know in the comments and I will answer them there. And love you all. Thank you again for all your support, and we'll see you in our next video. Bye.